So AOC is having a big old cry, and this made the headlines because woman's sad, I suppose. So, I don't know. But let's have a look at this. So this is the story as Rory's writing here. AOC cries following the Iron Dome funding vote. So she's crying because she voted for the Iron Dome funding, and that made her feel very sad. Anyway.
She did get BTFO'd by Pelosi, though. So.
So the quote in here, the Democratic Congresswoman for New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, appeared to cry on the House floor on Friday after she chose to abstain from a vote on funding for Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. Breaking with her fellow progressives over the bill, Ocasio-Cortez, a member of the far-left group of Democrats known as the Squad, changed her vote on the bill from no to present, the equivalent of abstention, at the last minute. She went down and went, no, change it, because Pelosi's called her up.
I can't oppose this, so I'll just abstain.
Not that it mattered as well. So after changing her vote, she was caught on camera apparently wiping away tears in an action described by Fox and ABC News commentator Meghan McCann as theatre and bad theatre at that. And House representatives voted 420, nice, to 9. So her vote didn't matter at all.
Yeah, so she could have just voted no and no one would have cared.
So I don't get this narrative that Pelosi forced her to do it because of the votes. That's not true. Maybe she forced her to do it for public perception.
Maybe, but like, it would have mattered not a whit if she had just followed her conscience on this.
Yeah, so it was 420 to 9 in favor of continuing to fund the missile defense system, which America provides to Israel to defend itself from rocket attacks.
But why does America have to pay for that?
I don't know. This is where I'm probably in agreement with her on the premise of the idea, which is that the Americans shouldn't be funding foreigners' defenses.
Yeah, but that's probably not her premise, is it?
No.
She's probably not thinking, well, it does make sense for the American taxpayer to pay for the defense from a foreign country. Yeah. She's probably thinking,
it's not
Jews.
It's not I'm on the side of the American taxpayer. It's I'm on the side of let's destroy American foreign policy.
Pro-Palestine. Yeah.
Probably. So let's go to the next link here, just so we can have a big old look at her face. There's her crying as well. So this picture went everywhere. It's like, poor Barbie had to vote present. Which, no, she didn't. She could have voted no. Didn't need to. Wouldn't matter anyway.
She's just go cry into her luxury condo, I guess.
Yeah, she just have to weep some more. So if we go to the next one, there's the footage of her looking all sad about it and having a hug with someone because she's very sad that she had to vote present. Again, didn't. So I don't get.
I got told off by Nancy Pelosi and had to vote present. Why?
Yeah. So this immediately turned into a whole bunch of memes, didn't it? If we go to the next one, just to demonstrate one of the memes, we can get that one a bit bigger to show people some Israel supporters. Why don't the Jews just die? Question mark.
The charitable characterization, I suppose.
Yeah. The supporters of Israel here not too happy about it. But let's carry on. So if we go to the next one, she apologized for doing this. Why?
I apologize for abstaining.
Like, if it's your conscience, just don't do it. No one was going to stop you, and it seems weird.
Well, I mean, Pelosi clearly was going to do something, but we don't know what it was.
What's she going to do?
Well, I don't know.
Over what either? Oh no, it was 419 to 10. The vote. Who cares?
Not even to 10. It would have been 419 to 9 with one abstention.
No. If she had voted no, that's the question because she abstained.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so there's the interview with her, and again, my position on this is one of suspicion at the fact the Americans have to give $1 billion more funding to the Iron Dome system. Israel's not a poor country. Sure, they have a lot of security constraints, but that's why they spend a lot on their military.
But then I fully agree with Ben Shapiro on this. Like, Israel can take care of itself.
Yeah, like if there's a war, then different circumstances, but the day-to-day conflict situation they have, that's not the American taxpayers' fault.
No. I mean, Ben Shapiro's position on this is remarkably reasonable. It's just like Israel can fund its own defense.
Yeah, but also the idea that this would go for any other country, of course it wasn't.
Yeah, of course.
By that, but whatever, fine. So Ocasio-Cortez has apologized and provided a lengthy explanation for her reaction to the recent vote in the US House of Representatives that left her in tears.
Oh, yeah.
On Thursday, observers spotted the New York lawmaker, a leading progressive, crying on the floor of the House and being consoled by her colleagues. She had to be consoled for doing a vote. That's enough to turn out the tears. I don't know what.
God, imagine being so opposed to Israel that you cry when you don't even vote in their favor.
Yeah, that's strange. So this is after she switched her vote. Quote from her: "I strongly believe that Congress should take greater scrutiny with all military funding across the world." Okay, true. Adding, "For far too long, the US has handed unconditional aid to the Israeli government."
Yeah.
in this particular case, the Israelis could fund it themselves. That's true, but goes on. To those I've disappointed, I'm deeply sorry, Ocasio wrote. To those who believe this reasoning is insufficient or cowardice, I understand.
Well, I am a coward, says Ocasio-Cortez. You got me.
For what? For standing up for the American taxpayer? I don't believe that for a minute. You couldn't give a toss about such a thing. Go to your Met Gala.
And the fact that she couldn't give a toss is just so deeply evident because she doesn't even make that argument.
No.
If she was sensible, she'd at least be like, well, these are my reasons.
The way she did that, the unconditional aid to Israel, not
Yeah.
the unconditional wasteful spending of the American government for countries that could fund it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. She also adds, in addition to opposing the substance of the Iron Dome supplemental bill, the process of bringing it to the House floor was deeply unjust, she wrote. Ocasio-Cortez called the handling of the process a reckless decision by the House leadership. So that's just her trying to cop out.
Okay.
Like, it's not just I voted for it. The whole thing was corrupt and weird. I was like, you still voted for it, so don't give me this BS.
Well, she abstained, but
By de facto, this is her not voting against it.
you can't stand still on a moving train. I see.
Yeah, I did find this funny though because I think it was like the serfs, those guys, like even they were upset with Ocasio-Cortez over this. I was like, oh,
you didn't vote no.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
You're not just being the in line lockstep with us. But I don't know what the politics around this was, why she did this. And as you mentioned, presumably Pelosi called her up and was like, you're going to do what I say.
Well, no, there was a video where Pelosi appears to be berating her on the floor.
Yeah.
And then she changes.
But for what?
I don't know.
In return? That's what I can't get my head around.
Well, I can only imagine it's about sort of political orthodoxy. As in, Pelosi's part of the sort of old guard of Democrats who we're all, the Democrat and Republican agreement is we support Israel. And she's part of the radical socialists who are like, what, Jews?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, there is
Gross.
There's a third option there, presumably, which is we support them, but we're not just giving them free money.
Which is a reasonable position, frankly.
Because foreign policy.
Yeah, exactly. And just because American taxpayers and various other reasons. But the fact that this is let's give her the most charitable interpretation and say that she was genuinely upset about all this. Honestly, I'm just thinking Twitter echo chamber. What she's the way she said, to those who believe this reasoning is insufficient and cowardice, I understand. As in, she's going to get dragged on Twitter from this. She
was.
Of course she was. You didn't vote against Israel. What are you, a Nazi? And it's like, okay, well, I'm sorry, I was a coward, AOC, but stay off Twitter for a day. I don't know.
Yeah, don't really know what else to say about this. I just found it really funny, and the theatre argument of her crying, yeah, plausibly on my position, but maybe she really is just that upset.
I don't know. I think that these people are in ways true believers in the nonsense that they're spouting. Sure. Bonkers as they are. And so, the fact...
AOC have a history of theatre.
Sure, I'm not denying that at all. But, this... I can genuinely believe that, and she looked like she was genuinely crying over this. That's the thing, right? So I can genuinely believe that for them, in their mind space, the weird bubble they're in, if I was forced to vote for Jeremy Corbyn, I might have cried too, So, and she's basically thinking she's being forced to abstain from voting against Hitler, and so maybe she's genuinely upset about this. They've been pathologizing Israel for so long, and they've been bigging up the Palestinians, and they think that any action towards Israel is the death of all Palestinians, basically.
I have in my head her history of theatre.
Sure, so, and I might be way too charitable on this.
Yeah, her going down to that what did she call it? A concentration camp that turned out to be an empty parking lot, and having a big old cry there, yet again. And then I'm trying to remember the other ones off the top of my head. I think her at the Met Gala saying that she's standing up to all of them. I was like, it's obvious theatre.
When she's parading around wearing $1,000 dress. And,
and I'm sure there are countless others people who follow her more closely than I do. But I think there's a strong possibility with theatre. But
sure, but again, I really don't know why she felt that she had to vote or in abstention. Why wouldn't she just be able to vote no? I mean, surely Pelosi's not I can't believe she didn't vote yes. She voted no. Well, he's a radical socialist. Of course she did. Of course she voted in the Palestinian cause. My no mattered. Things like, well, let her have a little theatre. What's the problem? I don't really get it, but there we go.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can catch the full podcast at 1 p.m. every weekday UK time at lotuseaters.com. You can also sign up at lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site.
Yeah, that's how we keep this whole operation running. And recently we've put up loads of great stuff, such as this interview with legendary comedian Steve Hughes, one of my personal favourite comedians, so it was a real honour to be able to meet him. But one thing that I didn't expect, that he would be such a deep thinker, and this podcast is genuinely like a meeting of minds in a way. He was right on my wavelength on a bunch of things and helped me actually connect a bunch of dots, but I'm not going to carry on and spoil it. We also, of course, have lots of interesting articles that have been written, such as this one by Josh about the dumbest country on earth. And for for silver tier subscribers, we also include a link, so it's we have an audio reading of it from a chap called Jonathan, who has a very smooth voice that you will enjoy. And this is great because often I don't have time to read all of the articles we put up, because we've put up a lot of regular content. And so this saves me the hassle of having to read it myself. So I really actually am very appreciative of this feature on a personal level. But we also do the Contemplations and Epochs, which are just interesting podcasts about interesting things. These are regular weekly podcasts. So this one is one of our writers, Josh, he's got a master's degree in psychology, talking about theories of intelligence and how they matter. And of course, we've got the Epochs, where myself and Bo, or in this case it was Josh and Bo, talking about the life of Sir Francis Drake. So that's 2 solid hours talking about England's most notorious adventurer. But we've also got lots and lots of other ones. This is number 21, so there's a good back catalogue there. And finally, we have our book clubs, and this is the part that I'm most proud of. Recently, we've done Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell, and
Reflections on a Ravaged Century by Robert Conquest.
Yeah, Robert Conquest is fantastic. Just if you want Western chauvinist historian, he's your man.
Anti-socialism.
Yes, in all forms, it's fantastic. And like I said, that's what keeps the podcast running. So if you want to become a member, thank you very much, and we think there's some great stuff you'll enjoy.